The Galactic Council chamber had fallen into a rare, uneasy silence. Dozens of species, ancient empires, machine collectives, hive minds, and starborn aristocracies, watched the central holo display as it replayed historical data. Collapsed armadas, burned systems, entire civilizations reduced to footnote. Every incident shared one common factor: humans. Counselor Threx of the Valorian Concord finally broke the silence. "Let the record show," he said carefully, "that this council issues a unified warning. Humanity is not a species to be threatened, coerced, or tested." Murmurs rippled across the chamber. "They are not the strongest," another counselor continued, "nor the most numerous. But they are patient, adaptive, and when provoked, utterly uncompromising." The warning was transmitted across the galaxy within minutes. A formal, neutral advisory stamped with the full authority of the Galactic Council. Avoid hostile action against human territory. Retaliation will be absolute. The message was received and ignored. Far beyond Council space, the Khar Dominion convened its own war assembly. Their fleets were ancient and vast, their victories legendary. To them, humans were newcomers, short-lived, divided, politically fractured. Dangerous perhaps, but manageable. "They exaggerate," scoffed High Marshal Karoth, towering above the hologram of Sol. "Every species leaves destruction in its wake during expansion. The Council fears humans because they are unpredictable, not because they are unbeatable." A general flicked a claw at the display. "Human space is sparsely defended. Their fleets are scattered. Their worlds rely on diplomacy, not dominance." Karotha's mandibles curled in amusement. "Then we will teach them the price of defiance." The invasion order was issued before the Council's warning cycle even completed its second transmission. Thousands of Khar warships surged toward human-controlled space. Battleships, carriers, planetary siege platforms. Their commanders expected panic, surrender, negotiation. What they found instead was silence. On Earth, deep beneath layers of ocean, bedrock, and classified infrastructure, red lights ignited across command centers long thought dormant. Threat vectors confirmed. Council advisory acknowledged. Diplomacy status void. Admiral Rhea Calder stood before the strategic defense array, hands clasped behind her back as data streamed across the room. No shouting, no panic, only calm efficiency. "They ignored the warning," an aide said quietly. Calder nodded. "They always do." Across the solar system, things long hidden began to move. Shipyards embedded in asteroid shadows powered up for the first time in decades. Fleets concealed beyond the heliopause disengaged stealth field. Weapons platforms humanity had publicly decommissioned rotated into firing alignment. On the edge of human space, Khar scouts finally noticed something was wrong. Sensor ghosts became solid contact. Empty vectors filled with mass signatures. Warp corridors behaved strangely. Predictive models failed. Then a single human transmission cut through the void, uncoded, unencrypted, and unmistakably calm. "This is human strategic command. No threat. No bravado. Turn back." The Khar commanders laughed. Behind that single sentence, humanity finished waking its fleet. The Council had warned them. Humanity had listened. And now the galaxy was about to learn why that warning existed at all. The Khar Dominion crossed into human space in perfect formation, confident and unhurried. Their armada advanced like an iron tide, warships layered in ceremonial precision, banners of conquest projected across hulls older than most civilizations. To them, this was not a battle. It was a demonstration. Then the void began to change. Khar sensors started reporting inconsistencies almost immediately. Long-range scans returned echoes where nothing should exist. Gravity readings fluctuated without cause. Warp lane predictions no longer aligned with known stellar mechanics. Ghost contacts, one sensor officer reported. Multiple. No clear origin. High Marshal Karath dismissed it with a flick of his claw. Human trick. Electronic deception. Maintain course. But the reports kept coming. Entire regions of space ahead of the armada lit up with sudden energy spikes, brief, controlled, and massive. Not weapons fire. Power-ups. Something vast was coming online. Deep within the Sol system, humanity moved with cold, practiced precision. Fleet command nodes activated in sequence, passing authority down chains that had not been used in generations. Captains received sealed orders written decades earlier and updated only with timestamps and coordinate. No debate. No hesitation. Phase 1 authorization confirmed, Admiral Calder said, her voice steady. Begin full mobilization. Across hidden shipyards, armor plates sealed shut. Railgun capacitors charged, drawing power from reactors capable of cracking moons. Drone foundries came alive, producing swarms by the tens of thousands. Dreadnoughts, officially mothballed, publicly scrapped, slid free of concealment fields, their silhouettes blotting out starlight. Human fleets did not rush forward. They waited. At the invasion's leading edge, Khar forward elements finally detected them. Not one fleet. Dozens. Massive formations appeared simultaneously across multiple vectors, each perfectly positioned to cut off retreat routes and warp corridors. Human ships did not broadcast threats or demand. They did not posture. They locked targeting solutions. Panic rippled through the Khar command structure for the first time. Multiple hostile contacts confirmed, a Khar officer hissed. They're surrounding us. This wasn't on any projection. Karatha's mandibles tightened. Form battle lines. Concentrate firepower. We will break through. But even as orders were issued, human electronic warfare systems came online. Khar command channels filled with static. Navigation data desynced. Entire squadrons drifted out of formation as false signals overwhelmed their systems. Then the first human weapon fired. A single railgun round crossed thousands of kilometers in a heartbeat and punched through a Khar battleship's core. The ship didn't explode, it simply came apart, structure failing instantly under forces it had never been designed to withstand. Silence followed. Then hell. Human dreadnoughts unleashed coordinated salvos, railguns firing in precise sequences that dismantled capital ships with terrifying efficiency. Drone swarms poured into gaps, tearing apart fighters and crippling engines before pilots could even react. The Khar armada tried to respond, but every counterattack was already anticipated. Shields failed under focused fire. Command ships vanished in blinding flashes as their positions were targeted with ruthless accuracy. From the bridge of the UNS Resolute, Admiral Calder watched the battle unfold. "Status," she said calmly. "Enemy command cohesion collapsing," her tactical officer replied. "They're attempting to regroup, but warp access is compromised." Calder nodded once. "Proceed to Phase 2. The Khar Dominion had come expecting fear, hesitation, negotiation. Instead, they had triggered something ancient and deliberate, a response designed not to repel invaders, but to erase them. Far away, in the Galactic Council chamber, observers watched the data feeds in growing horror. The warning had been clear. Humanity did not bluff. And this was only the beginning. The Khar armada fractured under pressure it had never been meant to endure. Human fleets advanced without urgency, tightening the noose with mathematical certainty. Every maneuver forced the invaders into narrower corridors of space. Every attempted regrouping answered before it could fully form. The humans weren't reacting. They were executing a plan written long before the first Khar warship crossed the border. "Enemy formations collapsing across all vectors," reported Tactical Officer Lin. "They're attempting decentralized command." Admiral Calder's response was immediate. "Then remove what little coordination they have left." Human electronic warfare ships surged forward. Invisible waves of disruption washed over Khar vessels, severing fleet-wide synchronization. Orders arrived late, or not at all. Targeting systems disagreed with sensor data. Friendly ships began colliding during emergency maneuvers. And then the hunters moved in. Stealth cruisers decloaked inside the Khar formation, point-blank railgun fire tearing through carriers and logistics ship. Drone swarms slipped past failing shields and carved into engines, reactors, and life support nodes with surgical indifference. A Khar task force attempted a breakout, concentrating fire on a single human dreadnought. Their combined barrage struck its shields in a blinding storm of energy. The shields held. The dreadnought answered with a single salvo. 3 Khar capital ships vanished in silent flashes as their cores were pierced simultaneously. The survivors scattered, panic overriding discipline. "This is impossible," one Khar commander screamed over open comms. They predicted everything. On the human side, there was no celebration, only efficiency. Railgun batteries fired in rotating cycles to prevent thermal buildup. Damaged human ships withdrew seamlessly, replaced by fresh vessels already aligned and ready. There were no heroic charges, no reckless risk. Humanity fought like an inevitability. Council observers watched the feeds in stunned silence. "They're not fighting a war," one whispered. "They're conducting an execution." Deep within the Khar formation, High Marshal Karath stared at the tactical display as his empire died around him. Entire fleets were gone. Warp lanes were collapsing under targeted gravitational strike. Every path forward, every path back, had been sealed. "This was never supposed to happen," he muttered. A human transmission cut through the chaos, broadcast on every known frequency. "This engagement is now in its terminal phase," Admiral Calder's voice said calmly. "Surrender will not be acknowledged." The Khar finally understood the truth the Council had tried to give them. Humans did not escalate. Humans concluded. And the end was approaching fast. The Khar Dominion broke. What remained of their armada scattered in blind desperation, abandoning formations, doctrine, and command hierarchy alike. Ships fled in every direction, burning engines beyond safe limits, attempting emergency warp jumps through corridors that no longer existed. Humanity had closed the system. Gravitational anchors activated in synchronized pulses, collapsing warp lanes and shredding jump calculations before they could complete. Any ship that tried anyway vanished in violent distortions, crushed, torn apart, or scattered as radioactive debris across real space. Escape probability across all vectors has dropped below 1%, Tactical Officer Lin reported. Admiral Calder did not look away from the display. "Proceed." The human fleet advanced. Dreadnoughts moved first, massive silhouettes drifting forward like executioners. Their railguns fired in perfect rhythm, each shot pre-calculated to strike engines, reactors, and command spines. Capital ships died quietly, split apart by forces so extreme their hulls never had time to rupture explosively. Carriers followed, releasing oceans of drones that flowed through the battlefield like a living storm. Disabled Khar ships were boarded not by soldiers, but by machines, cold, tireless, merciless. Power cores were sabotaged. Life support shut down. Resistance ended in seconds. A final Khar battle group attempted a last stand near a dying star, concentrating everything they had on a single human dreadnought. The human ship did not evade. Its shields flared once, then held. A counter-salvo erased the entire formation in a single, devastating strike. On the shattered bridge of his flagship, High Marshal Karath watched the end approach. His fleet was gone. His empire's greatest weapon lay in ruins around him. "They weren't defending," he whispered. "They were waiting." A human vessel slipped out of stealth directly ahead of his crippled ship. Weapons locked. Targeting solutions confirmed. A final transmission arrived, calm, measured, utterly devoid of hatred. "The Galactic Council warned you," Admiral Calder said. "This outcome was optional." The flagship's reactor went critical moments later. Across multiple systems, the last organized resistance collapsed. One by one, Khar vessels went dark. No survivors regrouped. No messages escaped. No myths of heroic sacrifice would be told. This was not conquest. It was erasure. By the time the human fleet halted its advance, nothing hostile remained within thousands of light-years. Humanity had finished what it started, and the galaxy was watching. Silence reclaimed the stars where the Khar Dominion's armada had once existed. Wreckage drifted through space in slow, lifeless spirals, fractured hulls, cooling reactors, shattered symbols of an empire that had believed itself eternal. No signals echoed. No distress calls remained unanswered. There was simply nothing. Human fleets held position. Not in triumph. Not in celebration. In confirmation. Final sweep complete, Tactical Officer Lin reported. No powered vessels detected. No warp signatures. No surviving command nodes. Admiral Rhea Calder closed her eyes for a brief moment, then nodded. Record the engagement as concluded. Across human-controlled space, weapons powered down in precise sequence. Drone swarms returned to their carriers. Gravitational anchors disengaged, allowing the fabric of spacetime to relax once more. The machinery of annihilation went quiet as efficiently as it had awakened. A single transmission was prepared and released, broadcast across Council space, neutral systems, and every known diplomatic channel. This is human strategic command. The invasion force identified as the Khar Dominion has been neutralized in full. This action concludes our response. No threats followed. No boasts. No demands. The message did not need them. In the Galactic Council chamber, delegates watched the final data scroll across their displays. Entire fleets erased. Military capacity reduced to zero. A sovereign power removed from galactic equations in less than a standard day. The warning, once debated, once doubted, was quietly reclassified. Absolute. A counselor finally spoke, voice unsteady. Let the record reflect, humanity acted exactly as predicted. Another added softly, and with restraint. On Earth, beneath clear skies and unaware cities, the fleets returned to silence and shadow. Shipyards powered down. Dreadnoughts slipped back into deep concealment. Humanity did not expand its borders. It did not claim territory. It simply went back to watching. Because the lesson had been delivered. The galaxy now understood what the Council always had. Humans do not seek war. Humans do not posture. Humans do not forget. And when their warnings are ignored, there is nothing left to argue with.